Welcome back to the Talking Horse podcast. I'm Camden. This is Corby, and today we're going to be talking about guns. Not really. Fake guns. Finger guns. Ja Morant. Buddy Hield. Warriors game. Essentially, earlier this week, the Warriors played the Grizzlies, and towards the end of the game, Ja Morant, while down in the game, for some reason made some sort of gesture to the Warriors bench resembling finger guns. Buddy Hield returned the gesture. I think both players were assessed technical fouls, and the NBA then released a warning to Ja Morant specifically to not continue to engage in that behavior, as it could be interpreted as, I don't know.
As what it is?
Representing a gun, especially with his history. Ja Morant, hearing this, listening attentively, and considering the implication of his actions, proceeds to, in the first quarter of the Miami Heat game last night, do a finger gun, gesture towards the Miami Heat bench, and subsequently was fined $75,000 this morning by the NBA. Just want to get your thoughts on that.
I'm not glad. I guess I didn't do my research. I didn't know it was from the Heat game.
Yeah.
Well, that's why I was confused, because I saw a post that said but neither Buddy Hield or Ja Morant got fined for that, and then randomly I saw Ja Morant got fined. So I guess I just missed that.
So what happened is that they issued a warning for what happened in the Warriors game, told Ja not to do it. Ja immediately did it in the next game, and then, they fined him. Which, I mean, hey, I don't think he really cares. $75,000 lighter and hit a game winner last night. So if it works for him, it works for him. But
keeping his aura only costs $75,000.
I guess so. For him,
I guess, okay.
You seen that contract?
Yeah. No, knowing that information, I guess it just makes Ja Morant look pretty stupid. But what I was really thinking about going into this was just the NBA. Dude, just relax. I'm sorry. Me personally, I don't care if Ja does this. I don't think the NBA could just be these saviors that just like. Getting rid of gun gestures in the NBA is not fixing gun problems in America. I'm sorry. It's not doing that much. It's fun to do. And as cool as much as I think of Ja Morant when I think of guns and basketball and all that, this kind of stuff always happens when you just play hoops outside, when you just play hoops at the rec center, when you do that. When we were playing at the rec center, I was just doing that to Joey when he was on the bench. Because that's just what you do. That's just kind of like what the culture is. I mean, you shoot a gun, you shoot a basketball.
No,
that's what I think of.
I 100% agree with that. I think in terms of any sort of social implication, there's like, I don't think, but personally, I don't think that's why the NBA fined him. I think they fined him because of his history and because there's already been a precedent set for like him doing stuff like that, and the way the NBA has to respond to it, or the NBA looks like a bunch of pussies if they don't.
And by precedents, you mean like what he did with the teenagers and all that? Or are you talking about just his actual gestures?
So I mean, like, going all the way back to like the Instagram lives, and when he got caught with a gun on him and he was like brandishing it or whatever, kind of being dumb, right? Like that to me goes to the extent of like, you're just being dumb by doing that. Like anyone who's gonna like wave a gun around, especially like after being told, hey, don't wave a gun around on Instagram live, and then proceeds to do it again.
Right.
Like, I mean, that precedent, right? And the going all the way back to that happening, the suspension, the fact that he went to some sort of like personal, like whatever it was, therapy or counseling or some sort of thing he allegedly went to, that the NBA, yeah. If he did, I mean, and personally, I don't care. Because like you said, like, it's just a gesture you do. You hit a three in someone's face. You might even point at their head and do that. Like, so Mikal Bridges, that's his celebration. How is that much different than that? When it comes right down to it.
There's almost no difference.
Like,
who else? Dyson Daniels aired out the entire Pelicans bench when he returned to New Orleans.
Yeah.
The NBA did not care. I guess it's because Dyson self-proclaimed that it wasn't a gun, and the NBA can't do anything about it. Yeah. But come on. Like, it's almost the same thing. If any little kid looks at Dyson Daniels doing that, they're going to think of a gun, which is fine.
I don't know.
Because guess what? Any mainstream media glorifies guns. Like, you're not saving anything.
I don't know what kind of weapons they have in Australia. But like, that looks like a gun to me.
Nunchucks. No, I'm not even going to.
Nunchucks? Yeah.
I'm not even going to guess what they have in Australia. Probably guns as well.
Yeah. So I mean, like, it really just, like, that's what I feel. I don't know that necessarily, like, seeing an NBA player do a gesture like that is going to incentivize more gun violence in America. Obviously, it's a problem, but I don't know what the NBA is doing to fix it by limiting those gestures. And they know that too, which is why no one else has been fined for it. It's just Jaw because he has a history with guns and with being stupid about it, and the NBA had already set a precedent. So if the NBA puts out a warning to Jaw specifically and then doesn't fine him, then that just looks like the NBA is like tucking its tail between its legs and looking the other direction.
I just hope they're consistent then. If Miles Bridges ever gets in a fight,
Yeah.
you better fine and suspend and whatever him, because
But we know the NBA doesn't care about that.
they don't care about domestic violence. They just care about
Like-
apparently finger guns.
When, like, I just, yeah, I don't get it.
And you
but-
can't compare it to any other sport because, like, I don't know what it is. It's not even like a culture thing, but like if you get a hit in baseball, there's no reason to do any kind of gun gesture because you're
Yeah.
not shooting anything. Like that's just what it is. Like you shot and you hit a target when you shoot a three. That's why Mikal Bridges his celebration is when he hits a three. I don't know what Jaw did. Maybe he made a layup or something to do that celebration.
I don't even remember what it was, honestly. I mean, but
it's pretty similar. Especially 75,000 is a lot of money for a fine. Like I know, like compared to his contract, like it's nothing. But like normally these fines are like 20, 30,000. Inflation has not gone up that much for fines to be $75,000 for a gesture. But the only thing is like the only perspective I can understand is one, it is a professional business. I guess you don't want to make your product look bad, but that's really on the Grizzlies more than the NBA, in my opinion. And also, I mean, he was warned.
Yeah.
If you are warned and you do it again, I guess you do deserve to be fined.
The next game, like literally not even the next game, the next quarter, the very next quarter when you have the opportunity to do that, you choose to do that. I mean, he knew what he was doing. And honestly, because he knew what he was doing, do your thing, Jaw. Like, I'm going to be honest. Like, look, Ja Morant is never not going to be Ja Morant. And he doesn't have to be your favorite player. He's not my personal favorite player, but like, he's embraced his persona that he wants to embrace. He even said it last night that, he wants to embrace that persona or he may have said it this morning after the fine got reported, that he's embraced this persona as the villain, right?
Yeah.
Do it if it works for you. Like, if you're willing to take the fine and you're not hurting anybody, that's the big thing, right? As long as you're not hurting anybody and you're willing to take the fine, then whatever. It's just like, I think, he was intentionally stupid. Like that's really what it was. He intentionally did that because he knew the NBA was going to fine him if he did it again. And it was just a middle finger to the NBA. I wouldn't be surprised if he comes out the next game and does it too.
That'd be crazy.
To be honest, like.
Well, I just really hope this new persona. This is his new persona. Michael Jordan took every single fine it took to wear his own shoes on the floor. I'm pretty sure they had like an illegal color or something like that. Wasn't it like red or something? I forget. But it was Michael Jordan. He was great. He marketed himself perfectly. Ja Morant, you either like to be this stupid though, to also take this fine. Either you better have some new shoes coming out, or you better just hoop in these playoffs. Like
Maybe he does have a new line coming out.
Maybe
Who
he
knows?
does.
But that is the one thing I did want to touch on is do it if it works for you. But the thing about Ja with this sort of behavior has always been you are wasting your potential by focusing so much of your energy on behaving in a way that is either detrimental to you or detrimental to your team because you want to maintain some sort of image.
He's glorifying a bad lifestyle.
He is, and he's
And
intentionally trying to.
You can do that,
and you can do. He's intentionally trying to play into that, but like, I don't know. Let's not pretend like players back in even the 80s and the 90s weren't,
Oh, they were not good
glorifying
role models.
They were not good. Like Charles Barkley is on record saying, "No one should look at me as a role model. I'm a basketball player." Like these dudes were gambling, they were drinking. You go back to the 80s and the 70s, they were doing cocaine, they were doing like all kinds of shit. Like never in a lot of NBA history or sports history have these athletes been role models when you actually look at their behavior. And so that's not what I need Ja to do. But if you're going to act like this and you're going to claim that this improves your play, you actually have to back that up. If this is who you are, then that actually has to lead to success, especially because of the level of talent that Ja Morant has. As a playmaker and a physical specimen, I don't know, like he might be the highest flying point guard we've ever seen, and I think we forget that sometimes because it gets lost in the mix of everything else.
Yeah.
But no, he just has so much talent and excess of talent that if he wastes it, and that is associated with that waste, it's not a good look for him at all.
Yeah, I want a series win out of him this season, even though I think it'll be hard because I think that Grizzlies roster is good. But yeah, I do want to touch on that. I don't think if any parent lets their kid let John Morant be like a role model or an idol or whatever that is, I don't think any celebrities owe that. I'm sorry. And it's the same thing. I'll get a little bit off topic, but I've just kind of seen the topic floating around recently, like the glorification of there's certain celebrities, like if you've ever heard of Togi, who just like this dude promotes steroids. And it's like, yeah, that's a bad thing to do. But if you listen to him, then you're just an idiot. And I don't know. So I think John Morant's own lifestyle can hurt his play.
Yeah.
That and this whole persona thing, the whole, obviously like a year ago being in the club with guns. It's like, dude, get on the court. I'm sorry.
Exactly. And that's the whole thing. You can be as much of a deviant as you want to be if you perform on the court. And no, I wanted to go off that too, because it's something that I feel like is so prevalent in our society with any celebrity, is this idealization of them. Celebrities are people. They're no more than just people who are either highly talented or highly lucky or a mixture of both, right? And we kind of expect them to act as like role models, especially for like kids. I just don't understand where that comes from. Like to get a little off topic too, I saw something like about, like Sabrina Carpenter, the singer, right? And there was a bunch of like parents complaining that they brought their like 9-year-old, 10-year-old children to her show, and she was wearing like a leotard or something like that. And they were like, that's not appropriate for children to see. Have you listened to her music?
Her music is like incredibly and descriptive.
It
about
is.
Sexual
what do you
things.
think Espresso is about? Like, I don't know. And that she doesn't owe them that to be any less of a human being that she wants to be because you made a bad choice to bring your child, like not even like a preteen or a teenager, a literal child to her show without doing your research first.
Yeah. I think one of the first things a parent should do before they let their kids get on the internet is probably warn them, do not idolize any of these people. You can look up to them, you can use them as like motivation, but you shouldn't you shouldn't take anything that they do too literal or like want to replicate exactly, because a lot of these people you don't know.
Yeah.
I'd rather my kid look up to, a parent or a higher power even, because that's just good morality, even if, they don't believe, but whatever.
And listen, I say that, I know nobody can see it. I say that with a Kobe Bryant poster on my wall right over there. Like I understand that looks the exact same way, but the thing is you have to separate the individual from the message. You can take lessons from these people that are highly successful, but you can't expect them to embody those characteristics all the time, right?
Yeah.
Like I believe that, Kobe Bryant's hard work, determination, is something that you can apply to anything in life and be better for it. Now, do I idolize Kobe Bryant as a human being? No, because that would be silly to do. He's obviously a very flawed, or was a very flawed human being, and made a lot of mistakes, right?
Had some
accusations. Really accusations that were pretty damning.
Yeah, we don't know if they're true or not, and
I
don't care that much.
I don't know. I don't know if you watched the documentary that CNN just did on Kobe, but they really delved into that whole case. And I mean, whether or not he did it really did ruin that girl's life, just the court case. And it does seem like, I mean, I don't know, I can't make any determinations because I wasn't in that court, but it does seem like something happened there that she did not consent to, that she engaged in because he was Kobe Bryant, right?
Yeah.
And the public, basically they defamed her in the media because he was Kobe Bryant. They're like, who are you? You're some girl working in a hotel in Colorado rooting the career of this NBA star. Like, who are you to do that? And, I heard later on she ended up addicted to drugs and all kinds of things. And I mean, just a horrible situation all around. Sorry, that was kind of off topic, but
yeah, no, you're good. Yeah. But yeah, so I mean, I kind of got everything that I wanted off, so we can switch the topics.
Yeah.
So there's only about, for most teams, 5 or 6 games left in the season, and the West is a bloodbath right now. Pretty much the Rockets are 2, the Thunder are 1. I think it's going to stay that way. It's pretty unlikely that the Rockets will go on a losing streak, but the Thunder have to be 1. But the 3 through 8 seeds are all just like unpredictable. We don't know what's going to happen, so we just went about it ourselves to go ahead and make our predictions. So this is pretty much, I guess, our predictions to what the playoffs are going to set up as. So we can just go ahead. We can even just go one by one. I guess, you have yours memorized?
Yeah, I have mine.
You do? Okay, cool.
Yeah, I got mine locked in. You know?
Okay.
I mean, I'm ready to go.
And I'm not that good at memorizing it. So number 3 seed, I have the Denver Nuggets.
Okay. I personally have the Los Angeles Lakers as my number 3 seed.
So I looked at the Nuggets, and they have a really tough schedule, but I just think Jokic is going to lock in. Because there's always this slight chance that the Nuggets could drop to 7 or 8.
You mean like Jokic is going to lock in like when he dropped 60, 10, and 10 and they lost?
Yeah, but he's going to win this time.
Okay.
And I think maybe, should Jamal Murray be coming back soon? I feel like he's barely played recently.
I mean, you never know this time of year. Like, really, these teams that are kind of like in the playoffs, you never know what they're going to do sometimes with resting their players.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, I could see Denver being 3 for sure. I don't know. They haven't been playing their best basketball recently. If Jamal Murray is out for a couple more games, that definitely hurts them. You know, tonight's a huge game playing the Warriors. I don't know. We saw Jokic do everything he could possibly do in their last game. Was that their last game, or was that the last game he played?
I think that was the last game he played.
Okay.
I believe he lost. Yeah, the Nuggets lost that last game with DeAndre Jordan starting.
Yeah. So 61, 10, and 10. They didn't win. Like, what more could you expect, especially with some of the teams they have coming up, too? It doesn't necessarily get easier. You know, Minnesota's obviously playing really good right now, but it's not like these other teams that they're going to play are worse significantly, most of them.
Yeah, you're definitely right. What I loved about that game, I went back and watched, because we didn't watch the entirety of the both overtimes. Jokic was not the one getting burned on defense. Like, their guards cannot defend. I mean, it's Anthony Edwards, don't get me wrong. But Christian Brown isn't the ideal point of it. Like, he's just like a good, solid all-around player, but like, he's not your ideal point of attack. I do believe, I'm not sure anyone was really in foul trouble though.
They not have Peyton Watson in? Because I swear every time we put on the game, he was in.
But he wasn't. I don't think he was guarding Ant. And if he was guarding Ant, they still sent a double at Ant every time. Yeah. And eventually, Minnesota found a way to just.
Well, that's just a coaching mistake. I mean, I think at that point, when Peyton Watson is a good enough defender that you just got to let him go one-on-one and live with the results.
Especially because Ant wasn't like amazing.
No, he was really good in the fourth quarter and overtime. Like, I think he had 10 points going into the fourth quarter and finished with 32.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he obviously had a really good end to the game, but yeah, no, it wasn't. I mean, it was really just I think Nickeil Alexander-Walker had like 28 or something like that, or 24. So that's a huge contribution from him. Yeah, I don't know. Denver, yeah, that point of attack spot is a little bit weak for them.
So I do worry about that because they have some good teams coming up who have good perimeter guys. Like, they play the Kings with Levine. They play a couple other. They'll play Steph today.
Yeah, hopefully he plays.
But I don't know. I have this small feeling that they'll just pull it out. And then you said you had the Lakers third?
I have the Lakers third. So I just think coming down the stretch, the Lakers have the tiebreaker over Denver. And they're only a half game back of the Nuggets right now. So all that has to happen is I think Denver has 5 games, LA has 6, right? So even if Denver, I don't know, I just see LA's got a tough schedule coming up. They play the Thunder twice. I'd have to imagine one of those games against the Thunder are going to rest their starter eventually. I mean, I guess they're chasing 70 wins, so maybe they don't rest. But
I mean, even if they don't rest, they're naturally, I think, just going to win one of those games. Even if OKC's on an 11-game win streak, but there's something about the Lakers where they actually do kind of have, at least with Anthony Davis, they had OKC's number in the regular season.
No, I mean, and looking at the Lakers' record, they have the second best record against the West of any team in the West. So they have the second best in-conference record in the West, and that's pretty much all they play coming in. I don't know. I just think that coming down the stretch, you are really starting to see that team kind of round into form a little bit. Obviously, they have their weaknesses. I just think, a majority of their difficulty remaining are those two OKC games. You can definitely see them taking one. You could even see them take both potentially, especially if they win the first game and then OKC is just like, well, we're just going to rest our guys anyway because we're not getting a 70. So yeah, that's the reason I have the Lakers up there. That combined with the tiebreaker over Denver, I just think it's more likely that they end up in the third spot.
Okay, and that makes sense. That's why I have the Lakers at 4.
Yeah.
I actually have I have them winning one game less than the Lakers or than the Nuggets.
Yeah.
So I have the Lakers ending with 49 wins. Just everything you said. Who'd you have at 4?
I just had the Nuggets at 4.
Oh, okay.
So we just
kind of
swapped that. Like, I don't think Denver's going to fall much below that, but
Yeah.
I just see them finishing with like the same record as LA.
That makes sense. And then 5 and 6, I also had with the 49 wins, same as the Lakers. It's just about tiebreakers, and right now the tiebreakers between the Lakers, Warriors, Wolves would go in that order. So I have Warriors as the 5 seed, and then Wolves as the 6 seed, which means I'd have a pretty good Nuggets versus Wolves rematch, and then Lakers versus Warriors rematch.
Yeah.
I didn't even really intend it that way, and I don't. We can get into it a little bit later, but like I don't really care that much about these kind of rematches. Like I do kind of want to see something new, but that's just me.
Yeah.
Who did you have 5 and 6?
I actually have so we just basically interchanged all of our, I think for the most part, like because I've got the Wolves at 5 and I've got the Warriors at 6.
Oh, so we have the
exact
same
same matchups, but just like different orders. No, so looking at Minnesota's schedule coming in, they have the 28th hardest schedule, so the third easiest schedule coming in. They play the Jazz, they play Brooklyn, they play the 76ers, they play Memphis, and they play Milwaukee. They could legitimately run the table to end the season. Like, I don't think that's hard to see them do, especially with the way they're playing right now. And I think the Warriors are inevitably going to lose one or two of their games coming in. The Warriors have also been known to, at the end of seasons, give up seeding a little bit for the sake of rest, especially as Steph has gotten older.
Right.
It's definitely something you've seen them do in the past, so I'd be unsurprised if, even tonight against Denver, like, Jimmy Butler and Steph are both questionable. You might see them both not play, which would suck. But coming off a back-to-back, maybe they just say, we have confidence we're going to go make the playoffs, so we don't want to risk having some sort of, world-ending injury.
Right. I don't see that like immediately. I think once they pretty much are secured to not be in the play-in, I think that's when they might
maybe
lose the last game, the second to last game, whatever. But yeah, I just think you can't be a play-in team this year because, for one, you don't want to play extra games because you want the rest. You don't want the 8 seed because you have to play OKC first round. So then, that 7-8 game becomes must win, and you're playing a really good team.
Yes, I mean, any of those two other teams we talked about or will talk about are both obviously really good. But yeah, no, that's I think we have similar thought processes, just a little bit different idea of how things are going to pan out as the season comes down to an end. But yeah, no, I'd be really excited for both of those series. Personally, obviously, any Steph LeBron rematch we can get, especially after that game last night, is something I want to see. And then, yeah, Denver, Minnesota. Like, I think we talked about it extensively the last time, or a couple weeks ago. But just, I think Minnesota has the tools to match up with Denver, and you definitely, think that too. So
yeah, well, because what's funny is when we were watching that game, late in the game, Mateen was telling me, because I think Randall on Jokic, I think Randall's a good defender for Jokic. Now, I think in the overtimes when Gobert got into foul trouble, Randall started guarding Jokic, and Jokic kept scoring.
Yeah.
But the vast majority of the game, Rudy was the one getting scored on by Jokic. Rudy has Jokic's number, and I think throughout a playoff series, they'll put Randall on him way more because, Gobert was just getting fried, easy shots.
It's so weird too because Jokic almost always cooks Gobert, but his record in his last 10 games against Gobert or last 11 is 2-9. Like, Minnesota swept Denver this year. It might be 3. I don't know. It's something that really doesn't make sense with the numbers that Jokic is putting up against Gobert, but
Well, I'm just trying to think about that last playoff series. Kat did a good job on Jokic, and then but this year, Randall has actually done relatively outside of obviously last game.
I mean, but that's also you can put that on Randall. Sometimes great players are just going to have a great game, and Jokic is one of those guys that you can throw into that category of Steph, KD, LeBron, guys that. Of this era, Luka, Giannis, when they have a game, they're just going to have a game, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Um, it's like that story Jeff Teague told about Steph Curry when he was guarding him in where was it, in China? They were playing a game in China, and he didn't want to get embarrassed because there was like 100,000 fans in the stands, so he guarded Steph like the hardest he's ever guarded anybody in his life. Comes back over to the bench. Coach says good job. Wiggins, who was on the Timberwolves at the time, says good job. Steph had 44. Like, sometimes there's just nothing you can do about it.
That's crazy.
Like, these guys are just going to have the game that they have. I think just limiting them in other ways is the only way you can really, like, I think the Lakers figured out a good formula for guarding Jokic, which is just, like, don't let him catch the ball.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the next best thing is to kind of make him score. Because I think the Nuggets are better when Jokic is not taking on that heavy of a scoring load. I saw something in games where Jokic scores 50-plus points, the Nuggets are 1-4.
Really? Mm-hmm. Wow. This season?
No,
Or just in general?
ever. Like,
ever.
Whenever Jokic scores 50 points, the Nuggets are 1-4.
I mean, it makes sense, but also I don't know. We keep talking. I kind of blanked my mind, but you don't want Jokic to beat you. I understand that that record is. I feel like that's a bit misleading. Maybe in games where he has like 40 points, though, he has a really good record because
Maybe, yeah. I mean, because maybe in those games where he has 50, Jamal Murray isn't playing, or Michael Porter Jr. isn't playing, or he has. I mean,
that's what happened. Yeah, last
and
game
that's what
with
happened
Jamal
last
Murray.
game. But I mean, the thing is,
I've seen teams let Jokic beat him, and Jokic just beat him.
No, that's true. But when they won the finals and when they're at their best is when Jokic is facilitating guys like Jamal Murray and Michael Porter Jr. to have their best series, right? Denver doesn't win the finals if Jamal Murray isn't playing at that high level, and Jamal Murray doesn't play at that high level if Jokic isn't facilitating that, right? I mean, Jamal Murray's obviously a great player, but he's given more, I guess, ability to be that great player because he plays next to Jokic, right? He's not the focal point. So I guess you don't want Jokic to beat you, but more often than not, what I've seen is like Jokic will beat you not scoring the ball. I think teams have more success allowing Jokic to try to beat them scoring than they do trying to prevent Jokic from scoring and allowing him to beat you by facilitating.
I just don't know because I rarely see a team let Jokic beat him by scoring.
Yeah.
He's that good where every game I watch he's getting doubled, and he's always making the right pass. And Jokic doesn't even really facilitate for Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray, I think there does get a point in the game where Jokic does feel fatigued, and that's why like in the last 3 minutes, especially in that playoff run, Jamal Murray would have the ball, and it would just be Jamal Murray and Jokic pick and rolls, and that's probably just where Jokic actually thrives best. I've never seen a Jamal Murray Jokic pick and roll like genuinely be stopped. There's always an advantage created. And it's just up to, can Jamal Murray hit that mid-ranger or can Jokic, hit the mid-ranger? I don't know. But, and then, at 7, we can just go ahead and continue. At 7, I have the Clippers, and then at 8, I have the Grizzlies.
Yep, 7, I have the Grizzlies. 8, I have the Clippers.
Yeah, it's
pretty cut and dry. I just don't think the Grizzlies will fall to 8, but they might. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll just all see how it pans out. I think that would be a really entertaining play-in game.
Who do you want to see win?
I want to see the Clippers win, personally, because number one, I feel like Memphis OKC would be a more entertaining series just because of the youth that both those teams have. Yeah. I think the Clippers, with a little bit of their age, might have some trouble with OKC in the first round. And also, I wouldn't mind seeing the Clippers, like, James Harden playing the Rockets, so obviously the Rockets running a really good team too, but they just don't have that same offensive oomph that the Thunder have. You know what I mean? So I think just in terms of building the best, most entertaining series, whoever's playing the Thunder in round 1 is losing, right? So why not see Ja dunk on a couple guys while that's happening? Or see Jaren Jackson pull a 3 from 35 feet with a bottom 5 worst form in NBA history. Right. Plus, I think they match up decently well with OKC.
They do match up well, and I don't know part of me wants the Grizzlies to have a rivalry with one of these two teams, either the Rockets or Thunder. I don't know who it would be because, to be honest, like a really underrated rivalry, and it's because like as of recently, neither team has made the playoffs too much, but Thunder Rockets is like an underrated like regular season rivalry where like I think the players don't like each other, but like the fans hate each other, and it's always because of the whole like Westbrook Harden thing. They've never liked each other, and then they decided to rebuild it at the same time, and now they're good at the same time, and it's like
it's so funny. Just like, I mean,
I'd love to see a series, but it'll never happen.
Quite literally, they keep stealing each other's thunder. Like, no, it'd be great. I think it'd be a really entertaining series. Unfortunately, I don't think the Rockets have enough this year to really pose a threat to the Thunder.
Okay, real quick though. So Rockets play the Clippers, Rockets play the Grizzlies. Who wins either series?
If the Rockets play,
if the Rockets play the Clippers, who wins?
Ooh. I personally,
I'm taking Houston.
I'm taking the Clippers in 7. I think, yeah.
I believe what the Rockets have been doing. They're a 50-win team for a reason. Now, are they going to have that many more wins than the Clippers at the end of the season? Probably not. Probably like 5.
Yeah.
You know, I'd say 5 or 6 is a very safe amount. Maybe even 4. And I understand that like when the game slows down, how are they going to get a bucket? But there's something about you could just never trust the Clippers. You never can. I never will. And I think Sengun might be the kind of guy who elevates in the playoffs. And I'm a guy who's never really been too high on Sengun, but the more I've watched this season and how he's played, he really is like a really hard to beat post player. Now, they do have Zubac. Zubac is an amazing, great big body. But one thing I've really liked about the Rockets recently is they've implemented the 2 big man lineup, which I never in a million years thought would have worked, which is Steven Adams and Sengun on the court at the same time.
It sounds atrocious.
I'm not even kidding when I tell you it's like when you have 2 7-footers in 2K and you just like mash the paint. That's what I see from them, and somehow it works.
I mean, yeah,
because people kind of forget how good Steven Adams was before the injury. He hasn't gotten worse. He's actually like still just as good, which it's just weird to see because he's been a starting center pretty much his whole career. Yeah. So him being on the bench in my mind, I'm like, oh, he's not as good anymore, but he's still. You don't want to get physical with him. He's still the strongest man in the NBA probably.
Yeah, and obviously if you have Steven Adams, then you have to have Zubac on him in the paint on defense to box him out. So that leaves Sengun more space to operate. No, this is no slight against the Rockets, me saying that the Clippers would win. I think people aren't paying a lot of attention to him this year because Paul George left in the offseason. And people have been paying an excess amount of attention to the Clippers for the last few years, and people are just sick of watching this team and watching the same thing happen every year. But I'll tell you what, a healthy James Harden and a healthy Kawhi Leonard in the playoffs, that's dangerous. Especially because we know what James Harden usually does in the first round. It's usually the later rounds where he struggles, but first round James Harden is just about as good as anybody. And if Kawhi can play the way he's been playing as of late, they're going to be tough to beat, especially, if somehow Norman Powell's witchcraft continues into the playoffs. That dude, I don't know what happened to him, but I mean, I've never seen anyone take a jump at age, like, what is he, 32, 33?
Yeah. So let's just go ahead and get into this topic, actually, because you say it's no slight to the Rockets that the Clippers would beat them. Who can lose to the Clippers out of all the West teams? And in fact, let's just say, I actually just want to say we're not including the Grizzlies, because the Grizzlies, let's be real, even if they are a top 6 seed, they have actually been just worse in the second half of the season. Like, they were a lot better in the first half. So let's just say outside of the Grizzlies, is there any team that did I mention the Rockets or Clippers? Let's just say which teams lose to the Clippers out of any other West team?
Like, could lose, or
who would you pick?
Who would I pick the Clippers over?
Yeah. Because if it's just the Rockets, then it is a slight to the Rockets.
I could see them beating Denver. The way Denver's looked recently. I could see it happening.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, actually, yeah.
So
I could see them. This legitimately. I could see them beating any team on this list.
I could see. Okay, but who are you picking? You're not taking.
hey.
This isn't plus 145 odds. No, this is like, who are you picking to win? It's not. Oh well, they're a cool underdog. No, who are you?
I think
if you had to put money on one of them winning for the exact same odds,
I think they beat the Lakers.
The Clippers.
Yes.
So you're in on Zubac. Because in my opinion, the way I look at it, that's the one big mismatch that the Clippers would be needing to take advantage of.
Yeah.
Because I'm sorry, Jackson Hayes, you are not a one-on-one defender.
Listen, Zubac's what, 16 and 11 this year?
It might be higher. I'm not even kidding.
Almost a top 10 like he's probably a top 10 center in the NBA this year. I just look at that team and the way they came together and started to gel towards the end of the season, and I mean, I just don't. We know what Kawhi can do in the playoffs. We know what James Harden can do. We also know what he can't do sometimes, but
we know what Luka can do. We know what LeBron can do.
Yeah, and we'll get to this later. LeBron has looked a little different as of late. He's still LeBron. He's still the great player that he is. He just...
Does he seem different, or is he playing different? Because I actually do feel like he is kind of catering for Luka a little too much.
Maybe he is just playing different. Maybe that'll switch. I hate to say it, I could see the Clippers beating the Warriors, too.
You'd pick the Clippers. I don't like this whole... I could see it. I could see any team beating anyone. I'm sorry. Well, out of these 8 teams, I could see any of them beating any of them. But it's who are you picking?
I'm only picking them over the Rockets. The more I look at it, honestly.
So you're now you changed back from the Lakers.
I guess it is a I guess it is a slight against the Rockets.
Seed.
I guess it is a slight against the Rockets. But let's be honest, the Rockets are way ahead of schedule with where we thought they'd be.
Are they overachievers?
Yes. I believe they are.
You know, being a delusional Hawks fan, back in 2021, people would say that we overachieved, and I would always kind of be like, "Oh no, this is just how good." No, overachieving is actually a real thing, and that can actually really hurt a timeline because you start believing in the wrong things that aren't consistent, and it can really hurt. I don't think the Rockets will be hurt too much from this overachieving, especially because like they already paid the players. You know, they already paid Jalen Green, who's been great this season. They've already paid Sengun, who's been great, and the only decisions they have to make upcoming, besides like, do we make a trade or not, is Fred VanVleet. And it's like, Fred VanVleet was not that big of a reason they had this many wins. I think he was a positive impact for sure. But it was definitely more, Amin Thompson, who no matter what was getting paid regardless.
Yeah.
So I don't think it'll hurt them, but I can agree. Yeah, they are. I think they've been overachieving. But you know what, though? They have so many good young pieces that it's not like...
They'll be fine.
It's not like any other overachieving team where it's like, we have to buy in on this core. No, they have a core coming up as well.
They'll be fine. This is the point I'm making. I guess that's why I was hesitant, because you had said you are sliding them to say that only the Clippers would only beat them, right? It's not, though, because they, like you said, they're only gonna be 5 games ish better than the Clippers anyway. And yeah, they're a 2 seed, but like 2 through 8 in the West is very similar all around. The only difference is that one team at the top that it seems like nobody can beat.
Yeah.
But it's not like they're way ahead of schedule. They're going to be great for years to come, in all likelihood, as long as players continue progressing. It's not a slight against them, because it's not disappointing if they lose in the first round. It's a great season. They've had a great season, and it will be a great season regardless of what happens in the playoffs, right? Next year is the real test. That's why it's not a slight against them. Like, oh, they're actually a bad team. No, they're a good team. They're just a little young, and a little bit, they need like a little bit longer to cook, a little bit longer to bake in the oven, and then they'll be ready. But
I agree.
Yeah,
you are sliding them though.
I guess, but
I think it's like a.
Is it
deserved.
a slight? Is it a slight to say that a team led by James Harden, Kawhi Leonard, a 20-point per game third option, and a 16 and 11 and like 2 block per game fourth option is gonna beat them? Is that a slight?
Yeah, because the Rockets have an all-star.
Oh, okay.
So
the Clippers have an all-star too.
Wait. Yeah. Harden did make the all-star.
Yeah, he did.
Oh, never mind. I mean, I think it's just probably a deserved slight. Like, at the end of the day, like, because I think
I don't know.
When you are the 2 seed, I understand it can only be a 5-game difference. When you're the 2 seed, you're playing a play-in team. Like you should win.
Yeah, but you
should take care of business.
You say that now it's they're a play-in. Like
That's what
they're
they
the seventh
are.
seed. They're the seventh seed.
Well,
And they're probably a more earned 7 seed. Like
the predicted 7 seed.
Like who did the Lakers beat? A couple years ago when they were the 7th seed.
No, they lost as the 7 seed. Didn't. Oh wait, oh no.
They got to the conference
They beat
finals.
the Grizzlies.
They beat the Grizzlies.
Yes, the Grizzlies should have took care of business. I'm sorry. They should have won. I think way even more so.
No,
I understand
they should have won that more than the Rockets should have won this.
Oh yeah.
But even
for
that,
sure.
people looked at that and they were like, it's just LeBron.
That is
what,
true.
What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? It's LeBron. Like
and AD.
And AD.
That doesn't compare to Kawhi and James. As great as they've been this season, that doesn't compare to LeBron and AD.
But the Rockets are also not in as much of like a need to take care of business state of team as the Grizzlies were at that point in time.
Grizzlies were young. I mean, they still are a young team, but wow, they actually were.
But I mean, they were coming off a season where they were also the 2nd seed, and hate to say it, but they probably would have beat the Warriors that year if Ja stays healthy. Like they took them to 6 without Ja.
I'd say they definitely could have. I don't know if I would have picked them.
They took them to 6 without Ja.
Ja was
that was a scary series to watch as a Warriors fan. You know, because they also had their number a little bit that year. It was definitely and they could have won game 1 really easily, and
Okay, so then let's actually just go the other team.
Yeah.
Do the Grizzlies beat the Rockets?
No.
Wait, did I give my answer? No. I think I am picking Houston over the Clippers.
You'd pick Houston over the Clippers.
I would. I'm not. We already kind of talked about it, so I don't care to go too much in depth. But personally, I would. The Grizzlies. I don't know. I don't know who I'd pick.
I don't think they beat the Rockets.
You're not wrong. I'm not gonna lie. They keep their coach. And
they don't fire their coach 9 days before the regular season ends. What is wrong with them?
I think I would have picked Memphis, but I don't know. I don't trust it. There's a lot wrong with them right now. Also, including Brandon Clark keeps getting hurt. Isn't he out for the rest of the season?
Probably, yeah.
That sucks.
I think he is, yeah.
Like, as much as we can not trust some of the Rockets guys, because, like, it's their first playoff series, Jalen Green, Sengun, not Steven Adams. I was thinking of someone I forgot.
Yeah.
The Grizzlies start Zach Edey. And that's like, besides Jaren, that's like their only big. You can count Santi Aldama can play the 5, but I don't like their versatility.
I mean, Zach Edey's a very solid starting big.
But
he's going to get exposed in the playoffs.
Yeah, he's not a playoff big.
Especially by the quickness of the Rockets.
They're the fast breaks that the Rockets go on, which is funny because Memphis is a fast break team. But still, like
it'd be a really entertaining series. But it'd be fun. Yeah, it'd be really fun.
John Morant versus Jalen Green. I'd love to see how Jalen Green is in the playoffs. Like
that's going to be the difference maker.
I don't think he can't have an average. I think he either has the greatest series ever or he's going to be terrible. I do not see the middle ground.
I really want to see him have like a Jamal Murray-esque rise in the playoffs. Yes. Because I've always watched him and wanted to see that consistency from him because he's got so much potential and talent. He just can't put it together for long stretches of time, it seems like. So the playoffs is like a perfect situation for him. It's like, okay, you don't even have to have 7 great games. You have 4 great games and your team's going to win the series. So just go out there and have 16 great games and your team might win a championship.
Yeah. I mean, that's a long stretch though.
It's long, but I mean, it's spaced. It doesn't have to be consecutive,
Yeah.
But yeah.
So next topic, because we can just kind of wrap it up there. That was pretty fun. Yeah. Next topic, biggest threat to OKC. Let me look at these teams again. Who do you think is the biggest threat?
Who do I think?
Because it doesn't even have to be the second best team. It could just be like a matchup that OKC would not be a fan of.
Yeah.
And to be honest, the more I kind of think about it, it really could be the Lakers.
Yeah, it could be.
Because you can't blitz LeBron. Like Caruso, Casey Wallace, all these guys, you can't blitz LeBron like all these other guys that they've been blitzing all season. And then just in general, like LeBron has been great versus OKC the last couple of years. Now, obviously, OKC's better this year than any other year. But
here's my one thing about the Lakers. And I hate to even bring up this point. But after watching the last few Lakers games, Luka is a cone, man.
Oh, yeah, he is.
He is. Oh, my God. It's worse. It's so much worse than it was last year even.
But you know what, though? If the Lakers defenders fight hard enough, there's so many guys on OKC like Caruso, like Dort, like Case and Wallace, where it's like if Luka can stay on one of those guys and not get hunted by Shea, it's not that big of a deal.
Is it crazy to say, given what I've seen from Case and Wallace this year, that I don't want Luka guarding him one-on-one?
Yeah, that's not ideal, but I don't think that's the end of the world. If Case and Wallace beats you, that's not the end of the world.
Here's and obviously we can get to this if we talk about the Warriors and the Lakers game, but one thing I noticed watching last night and watching other games,
cone.
He's a cone, and the other Lakers defenders, especially at the point of attack, are not good enough to make up for that. The Mavericks did a masterful job, until they did it, of building a really good team around Luka in terms of not having any holes on defense. Right?
Yeah.
Kyrie Irving, when he wants to, is still like an almost above average point of attack defender. And he was the weakest defender in that lineup other than Luka. They had a really good defensive lineup. The Lakers, like Jackson Hayes is a fine rim protector, but he's not elite by any stretch of the imagination. LeBron's good on defense. He's just not, who he used to be.
Yeah.
Vanderbilt, can you really play him 30 minutes a game in the playoffs? And Austin Reeves, again, good defender, not great. I
see what you mean.
I just don't think you have enough there to hide Luka.
But another thing that does help the Lakers is Isaiah Hartenstein and Chet aren't gonna. I guess Chet maybe can because he does use his length, but overall they don't have like the strong size. Like what I was talking about, Zubac can like post up, the OKC guys.
Yeah.
Or no, sorry. Zubac can post up Jackson Hayes, and it would be food, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But Chet and Isaiah Hartenstein aren't just posting up Jackson Hayes every possession. And also, you don't even want that because of how efficient Shea's offense is.
And Chet, but the thing is, Chet can also step out to the 3-point line. And then if Jackson Hayes has to step out with him because he shoots, what is he shooting? 40% this year? 39%? Something like that?
Is Chet really? Oh.
I thought he was. I thought he was shooting a pretty high percentage.
I'll look it up.
We can check it real quick. But I feel like he's a good enough 3-point shooter regardless that you're going to have to step out with him and guard him at the 3-point line. And that eliminates your only rim protection.
34.
Oh, he's shooting. Okay.
I was about to say.
So he's not great. He's not doing – he shot a lot better last year.
Yeah.
What happened to him?
But even in the playoffs last year, he was not great from three. I want to see it.
I mean, okay. So
26%.
We'll see what happens. But, yeah, I don't know. And that's tough for me with Luka's defense. Obviously, his offense is so great that sometimes it can just make up for it. But he just unless he takes it to a different level in the playoff, I just don't. He's such a liability right now.
Unless he's really saving it, Luka's not getting a first step on any OKC defender though.
No.
So, but that's why I do have OKC as the bet. I think they'll easily make the finals in my opinion. But I do think if anyone can break OKC. Yeah, I think it's going to be LeBron. I guess the only other... So, who would you pick?
I'm biased.
You go in the Warriors?
Yeah, because who, as good as LeBron has been against OKC, who's been better against them? Steph. I don't know what the numbers are. I'm pretty sure he averages, 30 points per game on damn near 50, 40, 90 in, his last 10 games against OKC. Hit, 3 of his last... 6 or 7 games where he's made 10 3-pointers have been against OKC. They don't like playing him for whatever reason. And this is not, I mean, you can go all the way back to 2016, obviously.
Yeah.
But, just this core that they have, they don't like playing him at all. For whatever reason, he's just able to have great games against them. And I think they have the personnel to be able to guard OKC. Chet is a problem, right? With the way the Warriors are. I don't know who they put on him. Post is a little too slow. Draymond, you probably want to put on somebody else. But you could put Jimmy on Shea. You could put Moody on Shea. You could put Jimmy on J-Dub. You could put Draymond on J-Dub. Kuminga provides really good off-ball length. He's not a great on-ball defender, but when he doesn't have to be the point of attack defender, he's really effective. In terms of the personnel to guard OKC... they can do it. The problem definitely comes down to depth, right? Because as much as I love the Warriors' depth, a lot of these guys are still kind of unproven in a playoff sense. Moody made that run to the finals with them, but he wasn't playing a ton. Kuminga is taking on a much bigger role this year. Post has obviously never played in the playoffs. There's a lot of guys there where, obviously Steph's going to do his thing. You hope Jimmy does his thing. Draymond's going to be Draymond. Those other guys, it is going to be interesting. But, I mean, they have the second best. Are tied for the second best record since the All-Star break. They have the second best net rating since the All-Star break next to OKC. They've been the second best team in the NBA since they acquired Jimmy Butler. I think out of anybody, they have the best chance of beating him. So,
and I can't fully disagree with you. One thing I am kind of concerned on is Jimmy's fit with the Warriors has been great, but it hasn't been perfect. And this, like, I don't know. Sometimes I watch the Warriors and I think the spacing is just a little off. Like, Jimmy Butler still kind of doesn't know when to cut with Draymond, and there's these like weird. I don't know. I just remember this one time where they were both Draymond and Jimmy like cut to the exact same, side of the rim, just like in the dunker spot, and then Curry had to put up this like super uncomfortable layup. And I just think OKC's length to guard. Like, if Draymond beats you from three, I know he's been great this season, but we've seen plenty of situations where a player can be great who's, like, not traditionally great from three. They could be great all season, and then come playoff time, that's just not who they are. And the length of OKC is insane. I mean, obviously, we're talking about just the best chance. And I do see your point with Steph Curry. And one thing I will defend the Warriors for is, even though they don't have that much experience, like, let's say Moody, Kuminga with their roles, like, the Thunder are still a really young team. So, like, they also are kind of like that. I mean, Caruso had, that one playoff run with the Lakers 4 years ago, but besides that, how much has he done in the playoffs? Cason Wallace, they have Isaiah Joe, just a bunch of young guys.
I mean, those playoffs last year probably helped them a lot, to be honest. Like,
yeah, that's true.
That whole core did go through that whole playoff run last year.
Yeah, Aaron Wiggins was playing
and
a lot.
Hartenstein played,
he is, yeah, that's right.
Minutes for the Knicks last year. So they definitely have a solid amount of playoff experience. And I feel like with the way Shea's game is going to translate to the playoffs as it has previously, that's not going to be a problem whatsoever. Chet would be the X factor in that series. It really would be if Chet can have multiple games where he is the second best player for the Thunder, like definitively, then I think they can beat the Warriors pretty soundly, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, we talk. I get what you're saying about Jimmy's fit with the Warriors. It definitely is a little awkward at times,
but especially against OKC because they have the defenders for Jimmy.
But this is the one thing I'll say though. Jimmy is one of those guys when we were talking about earlier. Sometimes when he's on, he's just on. Now that's a big if, right? Because you're really counting on him to do the same thing he's done these other years, where all of a sudden in the playoffs he's just an entirely different player, right? That's a huge if, to have not seen that level of like scoring prowess with the Warriors, for him to elevate that to like 25, 26, 27 points per game in the playoffs. But we've seen him do it, and we've seen him do it against guys that are really good defenders in their own right. And if he can do that and be physical with OKC, because that is the one thing. Lou Dort is a super physical defender, and Caruso is a super physical defender. Other than that, OKC is not the most physical team you will come across.
No, they're like just blitz heavy, really.
They're really quick. They're really
fast,
they're really lengthy. They're really fast. But if the Warriors can slow the game down, which is what Jimmy likes to do when he's in his element, get into the post, Draymond's going to play physical. Moody plays physical. Kuminga likes to go downhill and get to the basket. I don't know that he necessarily plays physical, but he does like to initiate contact. And Jimmy, likes to play physical. I think they can counter that length and quickness, but that is a big if Jimmy can, bring back this sort of scoring ability he's shown in the past and that he hasn't shown yet this year. But I do want to say, I think he has, in a lot of ways, taken an intentionally more passive role. Like last night, he shot 7 times. There's been several nights where he only shot a single-digit number of shots. That's intentional, right? We know he can be a shot chucker when he wants to. He's intentionally taking very selective shots and trying to work within the flow of the offense. Because I think he knows once it gets to playoff time, you're going to need those other guys to feel good about what they're doing.
Right.
Like, he's passive to Jonathan Kuminga and Moses Moody. He's not going to do that forever. But right now it makes sense to do that because you want those guys to have their flow and their rhythm.
Yeah. But I do think he might get a couple more shots in the playoffs. I don't think he'd be anywhere near 25 because, you just want the ball in Steph's hands.
Yeah, but Steph's a guy that can put up 17, 18 shots and have a really good, efficient game if it's working within the flow of the offense.
I don't think you want okay, you have Jimmy and that's great, but you don't want an efficient game from Steph. You want points from Steph, and at the end of the day, like
No, you want points.
sometimes
from Steph,
if you're too efficient, that means you weren't shooting enough. And
I mean that's true. You don't want to end 3 for 3. You want to end 3 for 5. So
I mean, I'm picking OKC either way.
oh yeah, I mean,
the problem also is like I was thinking about this. The team most likely to beat OKC might be because like none of these teams that we've mentioned are most likely playing OKC in the first round. So they have to actually eventually win. If you really believe in the Warriors, which I haven't thought about it yet. I'm just being honest. But like if you believe in the Warriors going deep in the playoffs, or I guess you know what, this would be like for my bracket, let's say I had, Lakers 4-5. So they'd play OKC in the second round.
Yeah.
Then that would make sense. But now in my head, I'm kind of thinking like, what's the team that's most likely to actually match up with OKC to beat them or to go far enough to do that?
Yeah.
It might actually be Denver now that I think about it. Because I just don't see Denver losing to like almost any other team when fully healthy. And it's like,
yeah.
so they're like, in my opinion, Denver's kind of guaranteed to play OKC even.
Kind of, yeah. I mean, I guess so. I guess that's definitely a valid point to make. But then if you're Denver, you don't want to fall down to the 4th seed. Because I think if you're Denver, you want to play OKC in the
right.
finals.
I forgot. Yeah, they could literally play him in the second round.
But if you play him in the second round, I think then that spells trouble for Denver a little bit.
Yeah.
I think any team, your best bet is going to be to catch OKC in the conference finals. Let's be honest, they're probably getting there, right? So I think Warriors at 6 would be a lot better for them than being at 5, because then you're catching OKC in the second round, and OKC's still pretty fresh.
Right, yeah.
Makes
sense, but also OKC's depth is so good that maybe the Warriors are more likely to be injured by the third round than OKC is,
And that's a possibility.
Like I see a lot of guys on OKC who could just step up.
The Warriors actually have decent, like it's not OKC level, but they have decent depth. Like they run almost a 10-man rotation most of the time.
Actually, yeah, you're right. The Warriors would be the one team that could do versus like if the Lakers got a little banged up, they wouldn't have the depth.
Oh yeah, but they have starting lineup. So they usually run Steph, Moody, Draymond, Jimmy, and either Post or Podziemski.
Oh,
Last night they ran Podziemski in the starting lineup, which he went off. I mean,
yeah, can't hate on that.
But yeah, so then you got those guys, and then you've got Post, Kuminga, Gary Payton, Gui Santos off the bench. So that's 9, and Buddy Hield.
Oh, and Buddy
that's
Hield.
10. And Buddy Hield is a guy that like sometimes you're gonna have to live with him having those bad games, but I don't feel like they're just gonna not play him because he can be the X factor in a game, especially against OKC. If he comes off the bench and hits like 5 threes or something like that, that's huge.
Which he did last year.
Yeah, so you just gotta live with that, and him having those games where he just goes cold.
Yeah. And then, I mean, just speaking of all this kind of stuff, we can go to our last topic: Lakers versus Warriors.
Yeah.
You want to go ahead and do you have any kind of long spiel to get off?
I mean, not super long. I was very impressed with the way the Warriors played last night. Austin Reeves scared the living hell out of me at the end of the game because that man just did not miss a 3. Like he just kept hitting 3 after 3 after 3. I'm like, holy shit, they're gonna lose this game, especially after LeBron stole that like inbounds.
Yeah,
and
Oh no, yeah, the Lakers could have.
I thought Austin Reeves was gonna hit a 3 to cut it to 2.
But it was Dorian Finney-Smith that took it, right?
Yeah.
Which is not the guy you want taking that
No,
shot.
of all the guys, but I mean, it was an open shot. Podziemski, amazing game. Hit 8 threes, had 28 points.
Half-court shot.
Curry had 37. Obviously, it was one of those games where it was just kind of like it didn't feel like he did anything like extraordinary, which is good to see, right? It's always good to see when they win. Like, obviously, he had 37, which is great. But it's always good to see them win when he's doing things that feel like they're within his flow and he's not going out of his way. Jimmy only had 11 and they still won. I think he was really impactful on both ends. Yeah, the biggest takeaway is that Luka is really a cone. And that's unfortunate that was my biggest takeaway. And also that the Lakers haven't surrounded him with defenders that are of enough caliber to hide that fact. And I think that's going to be really difficult for them come playoff time.
Yeah. Yeah, Luka's defense lost them that game. You know what I thought was interesting is I swear Draymond has like no gravity, but for some reason the threes that he does hit are like semi-contested. At least that's how it felt like last game.
Well,
like,
yeah. Because, I mean, he's shooting a good enough percentage where they have to actually step out on him now.
oh no, he's
Like-
shooting great this season, and that's why I just kind of don't think it's maintainable. But then again, he's had playoff runs where he's been great from three. So
I mean, yeah, and that's if Draymond gets going from three, I mean, that's just really difficult for teams to deal with. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I don't know. It was a really good win for the Warriors. I think it really embodied a lot of what you could see out of them in a playoff game, you know, within reason. Like, you know, Jimmy not having this incredible game, but facilitating other guys, and Steph having a good game, and just an all-around pretty good effort. I do think Kuminga is going to be a big X factor as that bench scorer, kind of leading that unit, and initiating a lot of the offense, him or Pajemski. And in terms of the Lakers, like, LeBron had a great game. I think LeBron probably had like the best game out of anybody on the court.
yeah,
He had what, like 33, 5 and 9 on like 15 shots. Just like great game from LeBron, obviously. But the one thing I did notice is he's being really passive towards Luka, especially early in the game. And I think for them to win, not a playoff series, but to get to the conference finals or the finals and win a championship, if that's even within the realm of possibility for them, he's definitely going to have to be more aggressive than he has been.
yeah. I definitely think that will be the case. I think as great as Luka is right now, I think LeBron will just take over. Whoever they play in the playoffs, like that, they will lose or win by LeBron.
I think he has to.
But it's just like, honestly, the only thing I could really think about the game, because I didn't watch the entire thing, but just like Luka was that bad defensively.
Yeah.
Where I'm not gonna lie, if you're not playing through Luka, what's the point of having him on the court? Like,
You know what? I hate bringing up this point because I hate like the narrative that Luka is like lazy and he's a slob and he's all this like bullshit that the media peddles about him just because he doesn't look the part.
yeah.
But damn, man, he could not stay with anybody last night. There was a few times where like Jimmy sized him up. Like, didn't even catch and go. Stood there, sized him up, didn't like over excessive jet, didn't get him off balance, anything. Took one step and he was by Luka. Luka just slapped at the ball and let him go. And I'm sorry, you're not playing with Derek Lively anymore. You're not playing with Daniel Gafford. Jackson Hayes is not providing that type of rim protection to bail you out of that situation. And neither is LeBron or anyone else. So, and
It's funny. I remember the exact play you're talking about. And I think that's what made me so mad.
Dude, that just sticks. I'm like, oh my God.
Well, you weren't like that. You were like, yay!
I was like, I mean, half and half, honestly, because like obviously I want the Warriors to win, but I want these players to not have these narratives peddled about them, and
Yeah.
I don't want it to be like, oh, Luka Doncic is soft and he's the face of the NBA. That means the NBA is soft now, or Luka Doncic can't play defense and he's great, which means that defense doesn't matter in the NBA anymore. You know, I don't want those narratives to be peddled, but then this just adds more fuel to the fire. But yeah, no, he I was excited every time a Warrior got a switch onto Luka. I'm gonna be honest. Like,
I think they'd be. I understand like they've been great since the trade, but they'd be even better with AD. Well, but then again, AD has been hurt. But like a healthy AD actually helps this team so much more than healthy Luka. Because Luka has been healthy.
Luka's been healthy, but he hasn't. He's shooting 41.2% from the field, which is 5% lower than what he was shooting in Dallas.
So on the Lakers,
Yeah, on the
41%.
Lakers. If he ups his efficiency, I still think you'd rather have Luka over AD. But
you can't say if he ups his efficiency because that's just what he is. He hasn't been able to generate easy shots. This dude can barely get past someone.
Yeah.
That's what makes me so mad. Like we
and look,
he used to have a first step.
Dude, it's just bad.
Like the fact that it's actually impressive. I'm more impressed by Luka because the fact that you're able to actually still be this good without being explosive in any kind of way. It's like if you remember the first 5 or 6 games of the Lakers with Luka, this dude was making an incredible amount of threes, or he was like solely depending on his 3-point shot.
Yeah.
So the fact that he was averaging like over 26, 27, pretty much just from threes, because I never saw this dude get an
but
easy look in his life.
he was shooting a bunch. He was shooting like 36% in those first few games. He was not efficient at all. Like, I don't know. I mean, obviously Luka's a great player, and he's going to be an asset to a team regardless, and he's never going to get played off the floor simply just for his playmaking ability.
Yeah.
If nothing else. But yeah, he
I just hope he takes his offseason seriously.
he needs an offseason. You know what I also hate? I also hate how this narrative has gotten started about like LeBron's showing him how to work out. LeBron's showing him how to get into the gym. LeBron's showing him this. He looks the exact same. Like if this was like through an offseason and legitimately like him and LeBron worked out and Luka slimmed down and you were like, yeah, okay, that dude's been in the gym. That dude looks like ready to go.
Yeah.
He's looks skinnier because he's lost weight from playing basketball through like basketball activities. I don't know where this whole thing about like LeBron is somehow, you know, gotten him in shape or gotten him playing better basketball than he was playing before.
I haven't heard that.
I hear the announcers talk about that every game.
Is it the announcers?
It's either the announcers or I heard I think it was the TNT crew. It might have been Lefko or someone like that mentioned it. No, it wasn't him. It was definitely the announcers last night. You know, it might have been Reggie Miller. No, it wasn't who was on. But anyway, someone said that, and I've heard it a few times. I've heard it on First Take, which is not the most verifiable source, but like, you know, I've heard it there. I've heard it through these main media outlets, which is like, this is how Luka's going to benefit from having LeBron as a teammate. Luka is going to learn how to put in the amount of work he needs to be able to succeed in the NBA. Number one, the dude led his team to the finals at the age of 25, averaging like, 32, 9 and 9. That's what he averaged on the season.
Yeah.
And he was also hurt during the playoff run, by the way. He's been playing professional basketball since he was 16 years old. The dude knows how to be successful. Now, if there are things, I'm certainly sure there are things LeBron can impart onto him that would help his game. But this whole narrative that somehow them playing 20 games together has drastically changed Luka's like mentality as a player and his ability. It just feels weird to me to say that, especially when it's not, you know, supported by what we see on the court.
Yeah. I don't think if $50 million can't motivate you or winning a finals MVP, I don't know how just being LeBron's teammate's going to do it.
Yeah.
Maybe LeBron will show him some cool training hacks of how to enjoy working out.
Maybe.
I don't know. But
look,
yeah, that was never going to happen just in a couple of months, especially because of how busy the NBA season is.
Yeah.
Like you don't like there's a reason that no one can even put on muscle throughout the season because there's so much cardio. You're already so tired. Like you can't just all of a sudden just be in an extremely good shape just by playing basketball. You can lose weight, but all the work has to come in the off season. And overall, he was probably drinking a ton of beers while he was hurt. Like I'm just being honest, because 280. Because I want to bring this back. 280 is crazy, or 285, whatever this dude weighed.
Yeah, he was heavier than Zion at one point this year. That's crazy.
Insane.
No, dude. I do love that clip of him though. After his like 60, 20, and 10 game, when the reporter asks him like, what are you gonna like? That was a great game. You know, what do you think about it? And he's like, I'm tired. I need a recovery beer. Like,
Forgot he
and
said
dude,
that.
like, I don't know. Luka Doncic is a great player. And I look, no one. I don't think you can point at anybody in NBA history and say you worked harder than LeBron James in terms of his like off-season regimen, his dieting, his dedication to his body and his physical fitness. So certainly, I think in the off-season, LeBron could impart some stuff to him. LeBron's also been a little distracted from basketball recently too, and I think that plays into it. And not to say that, I mean, he shouldn't be. I do think it's gone too far on both ends. I think Stephen A. Smith, especially on his end, he's milking this thing like the last cow on the farm. But
I mean, I wouldn't say it's gone too far for him personally, because LeBron is disciplined enough to still be him, even if he's like not. Well, he performed great last night.
Well, yeah, LeBron's still performing. I'm just saying in terms of like the amount it's begun to drag on for, where now like Brian Windhorst and Kendrick Perkins are getting drug into this whole thing, and it's like, we're 6 games away from the playoffs. Let's just focus on other things. Let's save it for the offseason, you know?
Yeah, you're not wrong.
But yeah, no. I mean, I guess it's not dragging on too long for Stephen A either, because this is just kind of what he does. But
well, he's loving it. Yeah.
Yeah, he's yeah. I don't know, but
cool.
But yeah.
So I don't have any more topics. We can just end it with something real quick.
Okay.
All right. You know what? Screw it.
Yeah.
Start, bench, cut, trade. Okay. And I don't know if trade's worse than cut. I don't know how that works.
Well, trade, you're getting some value back, so
That's true.
yeah.
Okay. Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell, Anthony Edwards. Who was fourth? I showed you this graphic before.
You actually didn't show me the graphic.
Oh, I didn't.
You
I
just
didn't show you it to you.
told me, and those were the only 3 names I
crap.
remember.
Who's like the four? Oh, it was Tatum.
Oh.
This is a fun little way to end it off.
Yeah.
I'm starting Tatum
Yeah, me too.
pretty easily. I'm benching Anthony Edwards.
Yep.
And so I guess trade is third word. I don't really.
Trade-
So it's versus
I don't
Donovan
know.
Mitchell and Devin Booker. I
I
like their values pretty similar. So who's better, Donovan Mitchell or Anthony Edwards?
What do you mean? Do you mean Devin Booker? I thought.
Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I benched
okay,
Anthony.
okay.
You benched
Yeah,
Anthony.
yeah.
Okay.
You're right. So yeah, who's better?
Who's better?
Devin Booker or Donovan Mitchell? Wait, that is the two. Yeah, it is.
This has been an argument for a while, which is kind of funny.
So it's been because they used to be the pulverizing 2 shooting guards. Now
Yeah.
they're not. Tatum's not in that shooting guard conversation.
But I feel like they're still on the same. I mean, even though Mitchell's numbers this year have gone down, that's because he's playing into team success more. So I don't know that he's necessarily like shown that he's worse than Booker. It's like Booker is averaging better numbers on a significantly worse team. You know
Is
what
it
I
better
mean?
numbers though? Because
pretty
Mitchell's pretty efficient. Like
I mean,
I'm not sure.
maybe Mitchell might be more efficient. I still feel like Booker. I feel like Booker always kind of just does his thing, though.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
think Booker's doing just a casual. What do you like? I think it's like 45, 38, 90 splits or something like that.
That's a tough one. I'm kind of in my mind going, well, would Donovan Mitchell have more success in the Phoenix situation, or would Devin Booker have more success and it's hard to have more success than Cleveland's had, but would Devin Booker have more success in the Cleveland situation? Like if you interchange them for each other, who's gonna have more success?
That's a good question. And honestly,
like I think it might be Donovan in Phoenix.
you think he's more of an X factor, like him next to KD, and they're making the play in for sure.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of tough because, like, honestly, I kind of like Garland and Booker as a duo. Like, that kind of sounds great to me.
Oh, it does, yeah.
Because, like, you could give Garland a little bit more responsibility. And Booker's the better off-ball player than Mitchell.
Yeah.
Mitchell's the better on-ball
yeah.
player. Who's the better defender? Yeah. It might go, like, slightly to Donovan Mitchell, but to be honest, I've never been a fan of either of them as a defender.
Neither of them are anything to.
Donovan probably
write
has
home
the
about.
tools, but he's also shorter. He's, like, way shorter.
Booker's probably a better playmaker.
No. Oh, no.
You don't think?
I think Mitchell,
like in terms of
dude, have you seen the insane? And maybe it's just like he has the better highs, but Mitchell's passes recently like have been insane on Cleveland.
I guess, but like,
I actually want to show you some of the
Devin
videos.
Booker was averaging 8 assists per game when he was playing point guard for Phoenix.
I mean, he was, but let Donovan Mitchell be point guard, and he.
Well,
does, like,
Donovan
the same
Mitchell
thing.
has been point guard in Utah, and he was never doing that.
He was not point. Mike Conley was.
He was point guard for the first couple.
Ricky
years.
Rubio.
Oh, I guess he was. Yeah, he's never been the point guard.
No,
then.
and when Garland's out,
Maybe
Mitchell,
there's a reason for that. I don't know.
Well, he's had all-star point guards. You know what? I used to be super biased toward Donovan Mitchell, but personally, I don't. Actually, no, I don't know. Like this season, I feel like Booker's just been a little disappointing. You know what? Whatever. Call me winning biased. I'll trade Donovan Mitchell. I still don't. I don't get it.
I think trading is okay. Is it like what player you're gonna get more value from? Because I mean I would think Devin.
To be honest, this works so much better with 3.
Yeah.
You know what? Okay, screw
Who
it.
made this?
Okay, screw it. Start bench cut. Anthony Edwards. Wait, hold on. Start bench cut. Anthony Edwards, Devin Booker, Donovan Mitchell. So we're starting.
Start Ant.
We're starting Ant. Okay, and so now it's
we're back in the exact same position.
So I think what I'm doing, I think I'd bench. I don't know. I still can't decide. I'm not gonna lie. These might be the most like
They're
similar
so
in terms of
close.
talent.
They're so close.
Either of them I could see going, and they have in the past gone off in the
Yeah.
playoffs. But also they both had series in the past where they've sucked. So it's like Booker's went to the finals. Donovan Mitchell's winning more games right now. I think Mitchell's a better playmaker, but Booker's a better defender. Both slightly, both not. But like this is so equal. I don't care. I'll go Devin Booker.
One doesn't have the Kardashian curse. I'm going with Donovan Mitchell. That's it.
All right.
That's my logic.
All right, we disagree. That's our final segment.
Who made that shit? Start bench trade cut. Like who decided like, oh, we really need to add that in there. Really need to diversify.
They just really wanted, because the graphic is a square, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4 to make it even. So like they have to add something.
I'll tell you what.
What else would it be?
Someone with OCD definitely made that. Someone definitely needed it to be even numbers and was like, nah, 3, it just doesn't feel right. Like I don't like that.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely like start bench cut so much more.
I guess start bench cut, retire. I don't know. Like
start 6. Like
start bench cut, kill.
Kill's crazy. All right, cool. So we covered everything we want to. Any final words?
I got nothing to say. I just talked for an hour and a half.
I know. I'm pretty tired. If you enjoyed, like, subscribe, comment, and peace out.